Secretary of State Nick Timothy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. This is my first chance to speak about prisons as Shadow Justice Secretary, and I want to get straight to the point. Prison works. By taking dangerous and repeat criminals off the streets, prison works. By punishing people who have done wrong, prison works. By sending a clear message that if you're thinking of committing a crime, you will face consequences, prison works. So when the government produces sound plans to increase prison capacity, we will support them. But let's cut the spin from the substance in that statement, because the Minister seems to want a medal for letting criminals out of prison early, and what he said about the new prison places created since the election was utter nonsense. These places were inherited from the last government. All he and his colleagues are doing is turning up to new prisons to cut the ribbon. Millsyke, Fosse Way, Welland Oaks and other prisons he didn't boast about were all set up and funded before the Minister and I were even elected to this House. On the plan for 14,000 new prison places by 2031, he pretends this is some new radical departure. But that number depends entirely on the thousands of places from new prisons and house blocks started under the last government. Let me read his answer to a question tabled by my honourable friend, the member for Huntingdon. Since the 5th of July 2024, and the Minister said this himself, quotes, "No new prisons have been planned or approved. It's a pity he wasn't so candid in the statements just now." And what about the milestones in reaching the new prison places? What will be the consequences if ministers fail to reach them? Is the Minister satisfied that the planning framework, as changed by this government, will mean no delays in construction? How many projects have been stopped since the construction company ISG went bust? If he can't rule out delays, what is his plan B? Can he promise the public there will be no extension to Labour's early release scheme? The crime statistics out today show sex offences are up 8% and shoplifting is up by 5% compared to last year. But with Labour sentencing policies, many of these criminals will avoid going to prison altogether. And what about the performance of the prison service? For all the talk of transparency today, at no point did he admit that prison officer numbers are down under this government by 468. So when he stands up, will he confirm that fact? With reports today that record numbers of offenders are being recalled to prison, will he comment on the serious allegation made by the Prison Officers Association that many criminals are breaching their probation terms so they can return to prison to sell drugs? On the deportation of foreign criminals, there was another statistical sleight of hand. Deportation numbers under this government remain roughly in line with the average of the Coalition and Conservative years in office, and are lower in half of those years. That is true. But I agree that those numbers remain too low, because we should be deporting all the foreign criminals in our prisons. Can the Minister confirm this is also his aim? And can he tell us how he will stop the European Convention on Human Rights getting in the way? Because we on this side of the House are clear, we will leave the ECHR. And will he condemn the actions of his boss, the Justice Secretary, who in opposition actively campaigned against the deportation of foreign rapists? And finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to ask the Minister a question in principle. He told a journalist this week, quotes, "A pretty big chunk of the overall prison population shouldn't be in prison." His colleague, Lord Timpson, says only a third of prisoners should be locked up. These are my most important questions, so when he rises, he needs to answer very clearly. Is it true only a third of prisoners should definitely be behind bars? And will he say very clearly that he agrees with me that prison works?